Hi, we're Sales Tax and More. Today, we'd like to tell you how exemptions can help save you money on purchases. Many companies and individuals inadvertently pay sales tax on purchases that might have in fact been exempt. To avoid paying sales tax on these exempt purchases, an exemption certificate must be presented by the purchaser to the seller. Each state has different laws regarding exemptions, but in general, exemptions are based on four things: the type of item, the type of entity, how you'll use the item that you're purchasing, and enterprise zones. Let's break them down. Type of item. Each state has its own guidelines as to what items are taxable and what items are not. As a simple reminder, if items are not taxable for all purchasers, there is no need for an exemption certificate. Type of entity. Different types of entities have different exemptions and allowances. For example, most religious organizations, charities, and nonprofits are sales tax exempt. So if you're buying a new stove for a church to cook for the congregation, you will not have to pay sales tax on the stove in most states, as it is being used for a charitable purpose. Keep in mind that some states, like California, may not give an exemption to nonprofits, and not all local governments are exempt. How you'll use the item you're purchasing. Generally, an entity is exempt if you can supply a correct exemption certificate. If you're buying an item in order to resell the item, you most likely won't pay sales tax on the item. This is because you'll collect the tax when you sell the item to your consumer. Manufacturers can be exempt if they're using or consuming the items in the manufacturing process. Enterprise zones. Some states have what are called enterprise zones. These are special, undeveloped zones in which the government gives incentives to encourage business development within the zone. One of those inviting incentives is the sales tax exemption. Contractors building in an enterprise zone are sales tax exempt from any purchases of items used in the construction. In addition, when doing a project for an exempt entity, the exemption sometimes, but not always, flows through the contractor. Having an exemption certificate is proof that you are exempt from paying sales tax. Even if you are an exempt nonprofit, a vendor usually cannot take your word for it or even federal documentation. You generally must have documentation from the state to show that you are exempt from paying tax on a purchase. As a best practice, double-check the status of your exemption with your state every 3 years. Finally, let's discuss how to obtain an exemption certificate. This will be different for for-profit and nonprofit entities. For-profit entities usually have to take 2 steps to receive a sales tax exemption on a purchase. You're most likely reselling the item you want to be purchased tax-free. In this case, your first step is to apply for a sales tax permit if you don't already have one within the state. Once you've obtained the sales tax license or number, state certificates work in one of 2 ways. In some states, there is a certificate that is completed by the state which you can download and give to your vendors. In the majority of the states, though, you'll need to fill out a blank resale certificate, entering in all of the required information, which can then be presented to your vendors. For nonprofit entities, most vendors do not or should not accept the federal 501c3 certificate as proof of being sales tax exempt in the given state. You will have to apply for one in the state where you are making the purchase. This special exemption certificate becomes the only certificate you need when making purchases. In summary, sales tax exemptions can not only save you money, but they give you a good incentive to track your accounts and records. If you have further questions, Sales Tax and More is here to give guidance on when and where you can receive a specific sales tax exemption. Visit our website, salestaxandmore.com, with any questions you may have, and thanks for watching.